napakalaking bagay sa kanila yung touch. Siyempre, you cannot talk to them one-on-one. Minsan, kailangan kausapin mo sila. Iba talaga yung face-to-face na nararamdaman mo, ang pagmamahal ng guro mo, pagmamahal ng yung mga kaklase. Kinakailangan natin ipagpatuloy ang pag-aaral. Hindi pwede tumigil ang pag-aaral. What kung di matapos ang pandemic? May stop ba ang education? Kinakailangan tuloy-tuloy. Kaya ako, kahit mahirap, gagawin ko ang lahat para makapagturo pa rin.
Are you ready? Okay. We will start now. We cannot wait for the rest. Are you ready, children? Okay. Hi, Yui. Hi, Michio.
As we acclimatize to the new normal, where almost everything is done online, the Philippines faces another challenge as it lags behind other countries in terms of availability, affordability, and speed of internet access. Internet connectivity and technological literacy has become more crucial in the country as schools are forced to hold their classes online and implement a so-called blended learning program.
Noong una po ma'am, dapat hindi ko po talaga sila i-enroll kasi inisip ko na paano po wala kaming wifi, wala po kaming gadget, wala kami lahat. Ano po gagamitin nila sa pag-online. Pero nung napahiram po kami ng gadget ng tita niya, sabi ko sige pwede na to kahit isa lang. Palitan po sila kung sino po yung mauuna. Bumibili po kami sa kapitbahay namin ng hotspots. Kaso mahirap din po mag-connect kasi ang dami pong nakakonect sa kanila pag nagkaklase po. Kasi minsan po nasabi rin ng anak ko, ayoko na lang mag-aral man, nahirapan ako dito. Gusto ko pumunta na lang sa school para doon na lang kami ng teacher ko magkita. Kaso nga po, hindi nga pwede.
As classes shifted online, having a quiet and comfortable learning environment for children who generally have a short attention span is vital but a privilege not available to all. Aside from internet access and the home environment, millions of Filipinos lack the basic digital skills that they need to conduct and attend online classes.
For those who are literate sa computer, kayang-kaya nila. I think mga magagaling sila kasi sa training na ibinigay sa amin. Pero ako, habang nanonood ako sa training, pag isang click din ako makasunod. No more, din ako talaga makakasunod. I use the blackboard kasi yan ang sanay ako. Hindi ako sanay na magpupunta pa sa Google uli. Hindi ko talaga kaya. Once na 2 to 3 clicks na, hindi ko na talaga, malilito na talaga ako.
Naisip ko pong magiging involved ako kasi ang alam ko po, hindi pa po siya marunong magpindot. Hindi rin po ako marunong magpindot. Sabi ko, mapag-aaralan ko naman po. Andyan naman po yung ate niya para maturuan kami kung paano ipindot. Kung sinabi ko sa ate niya, pag hindi ko na kaya, ikaw na lang kasi nahirapan ako, hindi ako sanay. Ikaw sanay ka magpipindot ng cellphone. Ang alam ko lang na cellphone po, yung keypad po, dipindot. Yun.
While the challenges are many, active cooperation between parents and teachers has made it possible for the children to continue their education during these unusual times.
Mag-cooperate lang ang bawat isa. Unti-unting matututo tayo. We will be improving. Habang tumatagal, we will all improve hanggang magiging perfect na tayo dito. Mape-perfect din natin ito. 121. Akala ko nga dati, disaster. Pero ngayon, nakita ko, I'm enjoying. Tuwang-tuwa ako tuwing nakikita ko ang mga bata na happy sila. Ang mga na overcome naman. Kaya patuloy lang.
Left, right, left and right, up, down. Ang gagaling ng mga bata. Kayang-kaya nilang magsulat ng 200. Narinig ko kayo lahat na sumasagot. Kaya masayang-masaya ako.
Good morning, everyone. This is Nina, your host for today's episode. We're here in UP Diliman, and as you can see behind me is the football field, which is actually relatively new. So the track and field teams and the football team would train here, and this is actually right across the UP gym. But because of the rising concerns about the changing landscape in teaching and learning sports in physical education, from the traditional physical or face-to-face mode to the growing dependency on electronics or online platforms, we are checking again today how the sports and PE sectors are navigating this new and challenging environment. Our credit to Asia, featured for the video we earlier showed you. It's true that we are challenged by the fast-changing lifestyle created by the pandemic. Our homes are instantly becoming virtual playgrounds or PE facilities. But what does this mean to the young children taking PE classes?
When I was in grade 1, we studied PE. We always go to the playground. We run, we play. We have so much fun. In our online class, we study body parts and body movements. We enjoy watching videos, PowerPoint, presentations by our teachers. I miss my old PE class because we go to the playground with our teachers and we play with our classmates. But we should be careful today because there is still a virus outside our home.
In my PE class, I get to do badminton, basketball, volleyball, and dodgeball, and many other fun fitness activities. For me, PE class before the pandemic is better because I get to enjoy the company of my classmates and play outdoor games too. At home, during my online PE class, no one helps me and I do everything on my own.
When it goes to my PE class, me and the whole class will have lessons about different types of sports, Philippine national dances, and physical activities. At times, we may have the online physical test where we do different types of exercises to determine our physical fitness. And lastly, we also dance and make our body move around for fun and to make us awake. As for me, I love PE classes face-to-face because we have innumerable exercises and things to do. But I do also appreciate PE classes online because even if we're not meeting and we are at home, our teachers do their best to help us learn about other fitness techniques and try to make us healthy every day. Nobody helps me in PE classes at home because they have different things to do. But I just follow what my teacher tells me to do and make everything as smooth as possible.
Physical education activities becoming virtual, all these changes have caught a lot of homes, families, teachers, and students by surprise. Some say unprepared. Others find it pressing to innovate the teaching and learning modules. We will have more of that in the next hour, but before we proceed, let's relax and listen to an exciting kwento of Commissioner Celia Kiram on the history of online learning.
Ang aking ibabahaging kwento sa inyo ngayon ay ang mga nakakawiling kaalaman tungkol sa remote learning. Ang remote o distance learning ay hindi isang bagong konsepto. Ito ay mas matanda pa sa Zoom, Google Classroom o kahit na Internet. Ang nagtanim ng mga unang binhi ng distance learning ay si Caleb Phillips, isang gurong Amerikano. Nangyari ito noong 1728 nang naglagay siya ng isang advertisement tungkol sa pribadong kurso ng shorthand courses sa Boston Gazette. Alam niyo ba na noong 1840 si Sir Isaac Pitman ang bumuo ng pinakamalawak na sistema ng shorthand kung saan isasalin ng isang teksto sa maikling salita sa postcard at ipapadala ito sa mag-aaral na siya namang magpapadala ng kanilang gawain para sa pagwawasto. Dahil sa sistema ni Pitman, nilagdaan ni Queen Victoria ng Great Britain ang isang charter na pinapayagan ang University of London na magbigay ng mga degree sa distance education. Ang University of London, ang unang universidad na nag-alok ng mga degrees sa pag-aaral nito noong 1858. Alam niyo ba na isang babae na si Anna Elliot Ticknor ang nagtatag ng lipunan upang hikayatin ang mga pag-aaral sa bahay. Ito ay nagbukas ng pinto sa mas mataas na edukasyon para sa higit na 7,000 kababaihan. Noong 1900, si Martha van Rensselaer, isang guro sa Cornell University, ay nag-ayos ng isang programa ng remote education upang maabot ang mga kababaihan sa mga lugar na kanayunan sa estado ng New York. Ang programa ay nag-enroll ng higit 20,000 na kababaihan sa loob ng 5 taon. Diyan nagwawakas ang kwento tungkol sa remote learning. Muli, ito ang inyong Commissioner Kiram na walang sawang maghahatid ng kwentong kababaihan, kwento para sa kaalaman at karunungan sa sport.
Not at your best? You may be dehydrated. You need Pocari Sweat. It replaces the electrolytes you've lost and helps you perform at your best. Be at your best with Pocari Sweat. Pocari Sweat.
During the start of remote learning in 2020, the University of the Philippines College of Human Kinetics launched Kinetica Online. This project is an advocacy that will continue until the time that the school opens up again the traditional way. The main aim of Kinetica is to bring physical activities in the home for free to encourage exercise and movement during lockdown. The UP College of Human Kinetics conducts classes via Zoom, and the classes are conducted synchronously. The University of the Philippines does not charge anything for this project as it offers the classes for free as a service to the Filipino people. Let's all watch this.
You ready na ba, everyone? Okay, let's go.
impactful project for the community.
For our next speaker, we have Professor Michiko Aseron. She's a professor in the College of Human Kinetics, UP Diliman, and is the director of the UP Community Recreations, now called Kinetica by UP-CHK. Let's now welcome Professor Michiko S. Aseron.
Hello everyone, I am Michiko S. Aseron, and I am here to talk about how we navigated teaching physical education in the pandemic and how we championed the challenges of teaching physical activities in the remote learning setup. So before my discussion, let me give you a background of what I do. Okay, I am an assistant professor at the UP College of Human Kinetics. I am also the current director of the UP-CHK Community Recreations Program, now we call the Kinetica by UP-CHK. Aside from that, I also handle practicum students and educate them on how to teach physical education in different levels. Before my sharing, let us look into what is happening now in our educational system.
Ma'am Michiko, paki-explain ka ragud sa amo unsa man ang remote learning.
So when we say remote learning, it means that the teacher and the students are not in one venue and they do not see each other face-to-face or personally. So we as teachers, lalo na dito sa Pilipinas, we are trained to handle and manage classroom full of students, tapos nakikita physically, and in the advent of this online learning and remote learning, very challenging siya to meet where the students are. Even us as teachers, medyo magkaroon din ng a bit of adjustment because there are many things that we are not ready about doing it. We are not ready about doing remote learning at the onset, okay?
Hi, Ma'am Michiko. Unsa da ang mga kalisod or pagsulay na imong natagamtaman sa pagtudlo sa online or remote learning? Ma'am, paki-explain ragud ko unsa ng remote learning.
We all know that in physical activities, there are always inherent risks involved, diba? Kasi in a face-to-face class, we are able to correct the forms of our students, their techniques, their movements, and their way of learning the activity. Also, the students get a chance to interact with other classmates that enrich the experience of the movement activity. Okay, but in a remote learning setup, there are difficulties for us to check what they are doing as teachers. Siyempre, di ba? Nakakulong lang tayo dun sa screen. So, hindi naman lahat nakikita sa screen, di ba? Aside from that, hindi rin natin na-check yung techniques nila. Pero hindi ibig sabihin, hindi natin kinaya or kakayanin pa ang pagtuturo ng physical activities at physical education. Dahil ganito yung setup. Diba? Ang sinabi ko kanina, birth pains. Meaning, it gives birth to something beautiful. Hindi man ito yung nakasanayan natin, but it breeds something beautiful and powerful. Empowering to both the teacher and the students. So let us not think of the negative because we are Filipinos, we are very resilient, and yes, we are resourceful. So yes, there were challenges, but it is also a time for redirection and more learning discovery of best practices. So as a physical educator and handler of practicum teachers who would become PE teachers in the next years, okay? We should always instill that positivity amidst the great challenge is still a possibility, okay? Positivity to possibility, okay? Lagi natin tatandaan yan. Okay? Because everything is possible. So we have settled to these perspectives that are both compassionate and respectful.
Ma'am, pwede nimo saysay ang mga maayong panghitabo sa imong pagtudlo sa imong mga tinun-an lakip na sa physical na edukasyon?
Let me share to you our experiences of triumphs and best practices. Number 1, okay? From proper technique to instilling the value of fighting in activity. So as PE teachers, there are moments that we tend to focus more on the forms, the movement, the rules of the game, and the proper execution. So with this challenge of lockdown and not being able to have room for more free movements, okay, our lessons had become proactive. So we encourage our students to fight daily physical activities. So instead of pure techniques or rules of the game, okay, yung focus namin, we shifted to the exercises that can be done at home with their families and encourage them to do movement breaks. Alam naman natin that in this type of setup, isa sa nakakalimutan natin ay yung gumalaw-galaw because lagi nakaupo, nagtatype, or nagsusulat. And because of this challenge na nagawa nating positive, we are able to instill the value of fighting daily physical activity and letting them learn the importance of constant movement even in the comforts of their own homes. Next one, this pandemic or this remote learning setup bred creativity and resourcefulness. Because of the limited access to materials and equipment, both the students and the teachers have upped the game of creativity. So they use materials that can be found at home, diba? In exercises, kung walang dumbbells, we use water bottles. Or we use anything na nakakuha kita sa bahay. Yan. Or we make makeshift rackets kasi walang raketa, hindi naman nakakalabas, diba? For sports. Or pag may kailangan naman bola, we use road socks. Ganyan. And baskets and cartons as hoops. Okay. Diba? Ang galing-galing talaga natin. The third best practice and triumph that I want to share with you is inclusivity. Okay, we try to make the activities inclusive for all. Okay, for all levels, for all ages. Some of our activities, we encourage them to be joined by their siblings or their parents or their family members. So it is beautiful to see the family working together and exercising together. So instead of just instilling the value of fighting physical inactivity to the students, we extended them to the whole family. So nakapag-exercise na sila, nakapag-bonding pa. Kaya ang ganda-ganda. And the next one, I think the heart of the triumph, diba, nitong remote learning is the development of more compassion and integrity. Sabi ko nga kanina, hindi namin nakikita lagi kung ano yung ginagawa ng estudyante kasi minsan patay yung camera nila kasi hindi naman kinakaya ng internet. Or pag may mga asynchronous activities or assignments, syempre hindi namin alam kung napapatupad talaga nila yung mga binigay na activities. But we learned more to trust our students and we have learned to practice more compassion. So we give compassion and we trust them and we dedicate our work to them. But now, during the remote learning and COVID breakout, we hit an extra mile. So everyone has stories to tell and conditions to face and experiences. So in giving instructions and requirements, we uphold the battle cry of UP na utak at puso.
Good day, I'm Teacher Blue from UPCHK. I think the disadvantages in teaching PE during this pandemic is the minimal interaction between students and teachers. Limitations like poor internet connection or sira yung camera hinders us in monitoring our students' performance and progress via Zoom. With that, we get to understand our students' limitations and come up with another way of monitoring them by giving them asynchronous activities instead, where they get to do it at their own time, then submit it to us via online. Through that, we get to check their forms and give them corrections and advice. Online classes tend to get boring sometimes, especially when you only have 2 to 3 students who turns on their cameras. But it's up to us teachers to adjust our way of teaching for the class to be more engaging and fun.
So good day, my name is Coach Mark, and for today, i-share ko yung learning techniques na natutunan ko sa pandemic, and syempre, yung materials na ginagamit namin. Okay? So for the techniques naman, di ba, kasi kadalasan sa mga students nga, naka-off, and pag tinatawag mo sila to recite, hindi talaga sila nare-respond kasi nahihiya sila or di natin alam. Pero ang ginagawa ko kasi, para makapag-participate, para magkaroon ng class interaction kahit sa online setup lang tayo, ay nagpapag-game ako. Syempre, yung game na entertaining at the same time, yung may matututunan sila. Kasi importante talaga yung class interaction, lalo na ngayong pandemic. And syempre, hindi mawawala yung mga learning materials. Syempre, yung ginagamit namin Zoom or Google Meet, lalo yung Google Classroom kasi doon namin nare-record yung mga, doon namin pinapasubmit yung mga assignments, projects, and syempre, para na din ma-monitor yung kung ano yung improvement ng mga students.
Hi everyone, this is Coach Nikki. I'll be sharing my achievements and triumphs in teaching PE this pandemic. Ngayong pandemic, marami ang naging sedentary ang lifestyle dahil nga nakatutok lang sa phone, hindi na masyadong nakakalabas, maraming establishments yung nagsara like gyms. So parang yung iba hindi na nagkaroon ng chance or nawala ng motivation para nga mag-exercise or mag-engage sa physical activity. And one achievement siguro of being a PE teacher or teaching PE online is you were able to influence your students. You were able to motivate them to engage in a physical activity. Kasi alam naman natin na napakahalaga talaga ng physical activity lalo na sa panahon ngayon. And seeing your students appreciate what you teach, talagang nag-e-effort sila na gawin yung mga tinuturo mo, yung mga sinasabi mo is very fulfilling.
Thank you very much, Professor Michiko, for sharing with us your valuable words. We have more to share with you about the joy and challenges of learning and teaching physical education and sports in today's episode. So just tune in as we are about to present to you another exciting sharing from the Institute of Human Kinetics of the Benguet State University. We have invited Dr. Jenny Lee Victor-Esiong to share with us how they are transforming their online classes into a better platform. A cum laude in her doctorate program, Dr. Esiong was a varsity player of basketball and soccer and had competed as far as the national level from 1998 to 2002. She was also a former dance troupe member of the university and later as a dance troupe advisor for 12 years. She has been serving as the university dance sports coach since 2008. Let's all welcome Dr. Jenny.
Physical education. Can you share to us your personal strategies and technique you have been using since the onset of pandemic?
Since physical education deals with a lot of body movements, movement skills, and then of course it's really hard to imagine how will these skills be translated or put into a certain written module. So we need to do something about it. We need to evolve and try to be creative at most. So there are a lot of strategies and techniques in teaching PE in the online platform, but I would just like to share my own strategy based on my experience and based on what I'm doing for the past 1.5 years now. But before everything else, I would like you to consider, before you decide on a certain strategy for you to use when you teach, you should consider your resources and of course, the resources of your students. Here in Benguet, especially the students studying at Benguet State University, since it's a state university, we cater to a lot of indigent students who are scholars. So not all of them have the access, internet access. Some of them are just using their mobile phone or their mobile data. So we have a limited strategies or technique to use for them to be able to access it with just mobile data and mobile phones. So With this, I would like to share my own experience. So first and foremost, so we are asked to provide a printed handout, a learning packet, or a module. Whether you belong to the DepEd, the CHED, the public, or the private, it is a must that you have to prepare a module for your students. Because these modules will be distributed to them for them to be able to cope while staying at home. So basically, what is a module? So a module can be defined as a unit containing topics or segment of instruction. So basically, your topic, your lesson that you wanted to share should be in your module. And of course, the length will differ depending on the topic you wanted to introduce. So it can be a 1-week module, or it can be a 2-week module, or it depends. For me, for my students, I give them a week or twice a month. But for those who don't have internet access, for those who don't have mobile data, we give them by term. So good for midterms or good for finals. So of course, not everything that you wanted to teach in physical education can be compressed in a module. So you need to be creative on how to do it or how to write everything you wanted to teach them. So first and foremost, it should contain all the needed explanation of the topic with a step-by-step procedure for them to understand the skills you intend to teach. Since PE is a hands-on practical skills, application of practical skills, so there should be a certain procedure on how you do a certain skill, and it should be a step-by-step procedure. So you should consider that when you do your module in physical education. For us teaching in the dance, it's a bit easier because we have the literature. It's already ready. The dance steps are clearly written by the author of the dance. For example, this. So they can really read and try to practice the certain dance steps. So it's a bit easier in dance as compared to others. In a face-to-face setup, you can just get the ball, try to show it, and then try to throw it. But of course, in the module, you should specifically write the step-by-step way on how to throw it. And aside from the step-by-step procedure and precise action, it should contain an illustration or a diagram or a picture for the students to imagine the skills you wanted to teach them. So aside from reading the detailed sequence procedure, they should also see the picture. Of course, you need to have a instructional video or a video. Since aside from the instructions and the picture, some students cannot really get it. So you need to show them visually the skills you wanted to teach them. So what is an instructional video? So it's recorded content that provides detailed information on how to meet the specific challenge. It features an expert, meaning us, the teacher, on the particular topic who describes or demonstrates the relevant information to resolve an issue or achieve an outcome, often with real-life applications. So in physical education, it's really very difficult if it's just written in illustrations without the actual demonstration of the skills that they can see or they can observe. So if you can see, if you have a two-way video, it will be better for them to clearly see the skills you are trying to teach them. But if you don't have, one camera is just okay. And then of course, after you deliver the skills, you should also video a slow motion for them to easily observe the skills you are trying to teach them. Because some are not really observant, so they need to observe in a slower pace for them to understand the skills you're trying to teach them.
Dr. Jenny, ano-ano po yung mga ibang strategy na naiisip ninyo na po pwedeng magamit sa online PE teaching na hindi nyo pa napapractice before?
What are the possible learning platforms for physical education, aside from the detailed module with instructional videos, a 2D animation is also good. As I said, if you cannot have a video, a two-dimensional animation is also okay. So what is a 2D animation? 2D animation is the art of creating movement in a two-dimensional space, which include characters, creatures, effects, and backgrounds. The illusion of movement is created when individual drawings are sequenced together over time. 1 second of time is usually divided into 24 frames or 24 drawings to be exact. Depending on the style of animation, there can be as many as 24 unique drawings in 1 second animation or as little as 2, depending on what specific skill or activity you are trying to portray. So an example is this. If your students cannot access the instructional videos, if you don't have any other means, you can have this. So they can see clearly what you are trying to teach them. So when we say 2D animation, correct. It's a form, it's like for cartoons, typical cartoons, wherein a lot of drawings need to express one activity. Just like this. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drawings just to show a lip. Okay, if you get what I mean. Anyway, another is, for me, this is the best. If we have this is the best strategy to teach physical education if we have the resources and the funds for it. It is your 3D visual reality, or what we call the virtual reality. So it refers to a computer generated simulation in which a person can interact within an artificial 3-dimensional environment using electronic device, such as a special goggles with a screen or gloves fitted with sensors. If you remember your Xbox, your Wii, it's something similar to this. So this is the picture of the person in a 3D or virtual reality. So the moment she puts on her goggles and her sensors, as if she is in the actual scenario itself. Since we cannot really teach some skills in PE, like the practical basketball game, the volleyball game, the soccer game, which is and swimming, of course, especially we cannot bring the students, and of course we cannot really put a detailed explanation on how to swim unless they're in the water. This is the best if only we have the resources, the 3D virtual reality. But as I said earlier, these are the best few things that we can use in teaching PE in the online class. So for me, for the resources I have, and for the resources of my students, I'm just using the module with detailed procedures and illustrations. And of course, I give them instructional videos for them to be able to get my lessons. So that's all, and thank you for listening. Keep safe, so please stay at home.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jenny, for sharing with us your experiences and practices in Benguet State University. Our last speaker for today will talk about managing stress in online learning. We are happy to introduce to you Ms. Karina Crisostomo. So let's talk a little bit about Ms. Crisostomo. Ms. Crisostomo is a faculty member at the De La Salle University, Manila, under the Counseling and Educational Psychology Department. A licensed psychologist and teacher, she was a corporate image consultant and personality empowerment instructor at Elite Manila and John Roberts Powers International. She is a graduate of Academy Image Mastery in Singapore, an affiliate of the London Image Institute, authorized by the Associate of Image Consultants International. She is the managing director and owner of the Global Image Management, the leading image consulting and personality development company in the country. Let's all welcome Ms. Karina Crisostomo.
We all know that this pandemic has brought about changes with the way we do things. And of course, kasama po dito ang pag-conduct natin ng ating mga classes. So the whole country, actually the whole world, has moved from traditional face-to-face learning environment to online distance learning. Students and teachers alike are going through major adjustments. And as teachers, we create our modules. We try to let our lessons fit the online learning environment. For our students, You have been adjusting the way you learn virtually. And given all of these circumstances, we cannot deny that these have brought about some stresses in our lives recently. Ultimately, it's really creating and, of course, doing your best to maintain your daily routines. At least in this way, you get to make sure that you get things done properly and that you won't end up cramming at the end. I know for some of us, pag nagka-cram, di ba? Nagka-cram the night before the submission, you get really, really stressed out, and this can affect your output. It is also very important to stay connected. Kahit online na lahat, we can still video chat with our friends, our family members that we cannot personally be with right now. Yung sense of connection with others, yung sense of being able to still interact, kahit virtual man lang yan, is still important for our mental health and for our personal growth. In this way, we are still able to socialize and keep up with our social relationships. If there are things that you need help with in school, make sure to approach your teacher and ask for help. Huwag kayong mahiya. Your teachers, I know, and also the teachers out there, I know you're doing your best to really make this situation a fulfilling pa rin. You're maximizing the online learning opportunities in order to help our dear students. Kaya mga students, huwag kayo mahiya. Approach your teacher kung merong mga questions about this, about the lesson, about the requirements. Do not be shy to ask for help. Our teachers usually provide consultation periods, and that you can also email them during those periods for your concerns. Actually, not just teachers, no? Maybe you also have some friends, some family members, anyone that you know that you can also contact to ask help, especially when it comes to your school requirements or activities. Given some of us, we have a really, really hectic schedule, we also need to take a break. This is what we call study break. So you can do this by leaving your laptop, your cell phone, or any device. Go out, get some fresh air, or maybe stretch your legs for a bit. It is also good for our health to take in some sunlight. Perhaps, when you wake up in the morning, you go out, makaramdam naman kayo ng kaunting sunshine, vitamin D din yan, in order to boost your immune system. It's very important to pause, to take some time off, to have a break every now and then, as if re-energizing ourselves in order to carry on with the things that we have to do in school. So, katulad ng nandito sa slide, keep calm and take a study break. But of course, remember this, if our body is not healthy, our mind will not be healthy as well. That is why, take care of yourself. Sleep at least 8 hours every night. Kayo, gaano katagal ang tulog ninyo? Do you get to sleep 8 to 10 hours every night? I know it can be hard for some, especially for our students out there, lalo na kung meron kayong mga inaabangan o tinatapos na series sa Netflix. So try to resist staying up all night watching your favorite series on Netflix or on TV, or may sinusundan kayo na mga YouTube channels. It's okay to use them, pampalipas oras, pang stress reliever na rin, but do not make it eat up your sleep hours. You need to rejuvenate. Don't forget, you need to rejuvenate and prepare for the following day's activities. Get a sufficient amount of sleep in order to do so. Exercising. Exercising is also a good way to keep yourself healthy. It can be light exercises, it can be some stretches, yoga exercises, cardio, kung kaya nyo naman. Pwede rin naman sa bahay with the help of YouTube videos. So take kahit 10 to 15 minutes lang yan of exercise every day. I promise you, you will feel so much better. Mas magkakaroon kayo ng energy when you do your work, when you do your school activities, as long as you have exercise as part of your daily routine. And for the other picture that you see there, eat healthy. I know we are all in quarantine right now, but please let us do our best to eat healthy and limit junk food intake. Fruits and vegetables will always provide the right nutrients that our body needs. Di ba minsan pag masyadong unhealthy yung mga kinakain din natin, it also brings us down physically, mentally, emotionally. It brings us down and it may make us not want to do the things that we have to do, especially for our online classes. Along with all of these stress management tips that I have shared with you, let us keep a positive attitude. Let us remember to see the bright side also of the things, in spite of whatever we are experiencing right now. Let's look at the bright side. Stay positive. Think about this, no? With the technological advances, we are able to find ways still to continue with our learning. And we are blessed at that part. And continuous learning, if you ask me, is something that our mind and body really needs. Of course, do not forget to pray and seek guidance and support from God. So all of these, ultimately, ang pagmamanage naman talaga ng stress is really how we respond to the situation proactively and positively. I would like to share this line with all of you. Remember, it is not the situation, but it is how one responds to the situation that determines the quality of one's life. We cannot stress over and over about the same things without feeling bad, feeling hurt, feeling anxious, feeling depressed. So why not look at the situation that we are in from a different perspective? And perhaps when we are more proactive, solution-oriented, mas positive ang mindset natin as we face every situation, we might also improve our well-being or the quality of our life. Practicing these ways and tips to manage stress, I'm sure you will be able to not just survive, but enjoy your online learning experiences. For both our students, our teachers out there, this is take this as a new adventure for you. For our teachers especially, take this as an opportunity for you to innovate yourselves as educators. Alam ko pong kayang-kaya ninyo ang challenge na ito and that you will be successful in what you do as educators. For the students, keep going. Push lang. Push lang ng push. Remember all of these tips. Remember these ways to help you manage your stressors. And you too will also be successful in your learning experiences. So with that, thank you very much. Good luck and God bless to all.
Thank you so much, Ms. Crisostomo, for an enlightening discussion on managing stress in today's online learning. Let me end this show with a reminder from the late President John F. Kennedy. Intelligence and skill can only function at the peak of their capacity when the body is healthy and strong. With that note, don't forget to exercise regularly and move your body, and do it to the Philippine Sports Commission Women in Sports Zumba Dance Exercise Music. Igalaw-galaw ating katawan. Have a marvelous day, everyone!
Rise up and shine.